In the Java and Web, we already have used type parameter at the class level, but we can also use the type parameter at the method level. Namaste everyone, I am Gyan and you are watching the session 21 of Java and Web, Generics in Java. In this video, we will learn about using the type parameter at the method level. So far in this session, we have seen that type parameter was defined at class level. The type parameter can also be defined at the method level. We have to declare type parameter just before the return type of the method. Let's use it. Let's use the type parameter at the method level. Here we have the Java file use.java. In use.java, we have the class use. In the class use, we have three methods: the method print_t, the method return_t, and the method main. The method print_t is a public and static method which returns void. But see, when I am using a type parameter, I have used it before the return type. So wherever the t appears as the data type, that will be considered as the type parameter. So here small t is a type of type capital T. And similar to generic classes, this capital T will be decided when we call this method. We will come to these two statements in the body of the printed method in a while. Now let's see the return T method. The return T method returns a data of type T. So here return type itself belongs to the type parameter. And similar to above, before the return type, we have declared the type parameter. And both the methods, print_t and return_t, are accepting an argument of type t. So here the variable small t is of type capital T. Now let's come to the method main. In the method main, we are calling the method print_t by using 5 as its argument. Since we have called the method print_t by using 5 as its argument, therefore the type argument t becomes of type integer, and small t will be stored a reference of class integer. Therefore, when we print the small t, it will print the value we have passed, that is 5. And when we call the getClass.getName method by using the reference variable t, it will print the data type of that object whose reference is stored in the t. And we know that t stores the reference of type integer. That's why this statement will print 5, whereas this statement will print java.lang.integer. Similarly, when you call the print_it method by using hello as its argument, then reference to that hello will be stored into the reference variable t. So when you print the reference variable t, it will print hello. And when you call the getClass.getName method by using the reference variable t, it will print the data type of that object whose reference is stored in the reference variable t, that is java.lang.string. Now we are calling the return_it method. We are calling the return_it method by using a data 12. The 12 is of type integer. That's why the small t in the argument of method return_it will store a reference of type integer, and that will be returned, means that integer reference will be returned by the method return_it because it is returning t. So whenever you call return_it with 12 as its argument .getClass.getName, it will print the data type, the actual data type which was returned by the return_it method. So that will print java.lang.integer. Same is the case when we call the return_it with hi as its argument. The t starts storing the reference of java.lang.string, and when we return it, the t returns the object reference of java.lang.string. So this statement will print hi, but this statement will print java.lang.string. But similar to the generic classes, for the JVM, this capital T is of type java.lang.object, whose reference variable small t can store a reference of any object in class. So ultimately, the small t is a reference variable of type java.lang.object because capital T is of type java.lang.object, and small t can store a reference of any object in Java. But what is the proof that for the JVM, the capital T is of type java.lang.object? What is the proof for that? To prove that, let's use the reflection API. This is the use.java where we are using the reflection API from the package java.lang.reflect. So our main interest is to print method information. The method information will print the information about all the three methods in the class use. Method printed, method returned, and the method main. So for all the methods, we are printing the names of the methods. We are printing the return types of the methods. So if the return type is considered as java.lang.object, then it will print java.lang.object. If the return type is void, then it will print void. After that, we are printing the parameter types of the methods. So if a method is accepting a parameter of type java.lang.object, then it will print java.lang.object. And if the method is accepting a parameter of type string array, then it will print the string array. No need to go in details of java.lang.reflect package because I'm just trying to prove my point that this capital T is of type java.lang.object for the JVM. That's why I'm using the reflection API. You do not need to know that reflection API right now. This code is on the desktop, so we are also on the desktop. Try to compile this code. Java C use.java use.java. It compiles fine. Now run it. Java use. It executes fine. And if you see the output, first it is printing the information about the main method. The return type of the main method is void. The parameter types are string array. There is only one parameter, that is one dimensional string array. After that, we are working on the return it method. In the return it method, we have a return type of type java.lang.object. You can see the return type of return it method is T, and for the JVM, T is java.lang.object. The parameter types of the return it method is also of type java.lang.object. So JVM is considering T as java.lang.object. And for the printed method, the return type is void, as you can see, but the parameter types are of type java.lang.object. So as you can clearly see, the JVM is considering the type T as java.lang.object. And here, just by calling getClass.getName method on the reference variable small t, we are getting java.lang.integer, java.lang.string, etc. because the getClass.getName method returns the type of that object whose reference is stored in the reference variable t. It never returns the type of the reference variable t. It returns type of that object whose reference is stored in the reference variable t. That's how here we are getting java.lang.integer and java.lang.string because only these two data types are stored in the reference variable t. We know that a reference variable of type java.lang.object can store a reference of any object in Java. So that's what is happening here. Similar to generic classes, we can have two type arguments with any method in Java. So we have the type argument t and type argument s. And of course, for the JVM, the type argument t and the type argument s both are of type java.lang.object, which can store a reference of any object in Java. So when we pass 5 to the variable of type argument t, and when we pass hello to the variable of type argument s, then 5 will be stored in the reference variable t and hello will be stored in the reference variable s. Now when we call t.getClass.getName, it will print java.lang.integer, and when we call t.getClass.getName for hello, it will print java.lang.string. When we call the printed method by using an object of type new, then reference to that object will be stored in the reference variable t. And when we print the reference variable t, it will print the toString method for the class use. And this corresponding output of toString method will be printed. But when we call t.getClass.getName method, then it will print the type of that object whose reference is stored in the reference variable t. Therefore, it will print use. Similarly, when we pass 2.9 to the reference variable s and try to print the reference variable s, it will call the toString method which prints the value 2.9, and when we call the getClass.getName method by using the reference variable s, it prints the name of the class java.lang.double whose reference is stored in the reference variable s. So hopefully you are getting my points. Similar to the generic classes, extends keyword also works with the generic methods. So here in this case, we are bounding the type of t to number. Therefore, for the JVM, the data type of t is either number or children of the number. You cannot go beyond that. You cannot consider the data type t as object. You cannot store anything other than the number or children of the number in the reference variable of type t. Therefore, we can call the printed method by using arguments of type integer and of type string. Because t is bounded to number, therefore the reference of this integer can be stored in the reference variable t of type t. But s is not bounded to any data type, therefore for the JVM, s is still of type java.lang.object, which can store any object in Java. In the second case, when you try to store a reference of type use in the reference variable t of type t, then the compiler will not allow it, because for the JVM, t is of type number. So only a number object or children of the number object can be stored in the reference variable of type t. Therefore, the compiler will not allow it. Compiler will not allow to store anything else in the reference variable t, and the compiler will throw an error. This error will be thrown by the compiler. Method printed in class use cannot apply to given types. Required TS found use double. Hopefully you are getting my points, because this video is just a revision of all the previous videos we already have seen in Java and Web session 21. These are the few valid declarations like t extends number, t extends runnable, t extends number and runnable, t extends comparable and runnable, t extends number and comparable and runnable, like that. Number is a class, runnable and comparable are the interfaces. Number is a class, comparable and runnable are interfaces. So you can extend T with just one class, but more than one interfaces. And when you are extending T by using a class name, then that class name should always appear before all the interface names. Means that class name should be the first name after extends keyword. You cannot use two class names after extends keyword. Okay, hopefully you are getting my points. So these are few invalid declarations. The class name cannot be after runnable. The class name cannot be after interface name. Two class names cannot be present because the class name cannot be after anything else. The class name cannot be after class name itself. So two class names cannot be present after extends keyword. Unlike generic classes, generic methods do not support wildcard characters. So we cannot use wildcard with generic methods. That's all for this video, guys. Don't forget to like and share this video, subscribe my channel on YouTube, like my page on Facebook, and leave your valuable comments in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.